I'm going to talk about Inside Out.
Oh.
The Pixar movie. So Inside Out 2 has just come out, and surprise, Catherine actually went to the theater and saw it. Now, this is how it all went down. My son, who is 21 and has autism, is part of a social group of 6 young men in their early 20s with autism, and they were doing an outing to go and see Inside Out 2. So they had watched as a group the first movie, Inside Out 1, as sort of a prep thing, and they were discussing emotions. And by that, I mean the facilitator of the group was using the movie to talk about emotions and kind of use it as a teaching tool and discussion, starter to whatever extent these young men could talk about their emotions or learn about their emotions, which I thought was really smart. So with Adam, I sat down, and he normally won't watch a whole movie. He will go to a movie, eat the popcorn, and then as soon as the popcorn is done, he gets very fidgety and wants to look at his phone and wants to leave because he's not a lot of times picking up on the story. So he's not really engaged enough to really pay attention. So I didn't know how well it would go to watch Inside Out at home, but I was like, okay, so we fired it up on Disney Plus, and he sat there and watched the whole thing with me. It was amazing. And
So this is the second time of watching the first one.
Yes, correct.
Group watching, solo watching.
Yes. So when I would pause it and occasionally be like, oh, and I'd point things out and whatever, but not a lot. I just really tried to let him watch it. And then this morning, took him to meet the group at the theater. And I had told his facilitator who runs this group, I'm like, I don't want him to know that I'm here, but I don't want to go all the way home. And I want to also watch the movie so I can talk about it with him later. Even if he doesn't have a lot to talk to me about, it'll be something that we have in common and I'll know the story and blah, blah, blah. So I bought a ticket in the very last row on the corner so I could kind of hide, watch them go in, and then I snuck in the back. And Adam sat there and watched the whole movie, which was incredible. I mean, Pixar, they really know what they're doing.
This is one of their better ones.
Yeah, very moving and an expansion on the idea of both It was interesting because the facilitator, I talked to him about it after, he was talking about the difference between feelings and emotions, which I hadn't really thought about it that way. So he said, the first one was really about the feelings. And this second one, he likes to explain it that these are the emotions, which are how your body reacts to your feelings. So it's it's the next layer. It's obviously the next layer and an expansion of these feelings, but he was kind of making it 2 different categories.
Distinction between the two. Okay.
Just as a way to talk about it, which I thought was really interesting. So in the first one, we have Amy Poehler as Joy, who is back, who is fantastic, very, very up and wonderful, but then of course has some moments where she realizes that things are difficult and some sadder moments for her and a great performance. Then we have Phyllis Smith, who is playing Sadness, who is unbelievable. I love her so much. She just, she breaks your heart, but she's so funny and she's just perfection. Just perfection. Then Mindy Kaling, who played Disgust in the first one, was great. She is not in the second one. We have a different voice actress, Liza Lapira. She's very good. And it's not that I didn't realize that it was Mindy Kaling. It just didn't take me out of it. I'm like, very similar.
Only because probably you just rewatched it,
yes,
the first one.
I think it was so fresh.
Otherwise, I don't think you'd probably know.
And they did a similar thing with Fear, who in the first one was Bill Hader, and in this one is Tony Hale. And a great character, very fun, always worried about stuff.
I did feel like Tony Hale really gave it more of his own spin, though.
Yeah, it was a little bit different. You're absolutely right about that. But it felt enough that you didn't feel like, they've completely changed Fear.
It was enjoyable, for sure.
Yeah, he was definitely... Wait a minute. Did I just realize that you have seen 2?
Did you ask me?
John!
Why is it a mystery? Why did I pull it out of you? Oh, my gosh.
I mean,
Wait! We haven't gotten to him yet. So he did say, before we do a pre-prep, and we usually all talk about what we've seen, but he said 2 movies and didn't tell us the movies. So what has been revealed?
Incorrect.
So
you weren't even going to discuss this?
I knew I was going to weigh in. I mean, it's not going to be a Catherine monologue.
All right. Okay.
But I would have, looped you in earlier if I'd realized that you'd seen it.
He wanted it fresh and organic.
Look, you have
He
to
just-
understand from context.
Oh my God, what a turd. You're so funny. Okay. All right. So the new, what?
What a turd. That might be an accurate description, John, sometimes. Oh, you
That's
turd.
what he does,
Oh,
though.
he's so sad. Is that one of the emotions?
Oh,
on
is
your
that, yeah.
Turd.
Was that your Phyllis Smith? I'm so sad. Catherine called me a turd.
Honestly, I thought it was another clue, but I didn't get a chance to say it. The feelings versus emotion thing, I mean, it was interesting because it's not a problem with the second one, but it was like, oh, you're saying that anxiety is an equal level emotion or representative as joy or sadness. And I was like, I don't know that I believe that. But they didn't qualify them in two groups. But for yourself to qualify them makes sense. It's fine.
It's interesting because it definitely, the way that the movie is set up is it hinges on puberty. She's 13, and it's sort of like the explosion of this next level of...
That was a pretty fun moment and situation, and there were a lot of ways that it made sense, I thought.
Yeah, which the only funny thing that was a little unrealistic was like puberty in one day. It's like an explosion, which was kind of funny.
But it was because then they would do some recap stuff. They were like, well, there were clues. But
Oh,
yes.
yeah.
Then all of a sudden, it was overnight.
It was overnight. Literally overnight. We also have Louis Black back as Anger, who is, of course, fantastic.
Thank you, San Francisco. You ruined pizza.
I mean, just bad. He's so good. Yeah, so he's great in this big part. As John says, they bring in this whole other crew of emotions or feelings or whatever you want to refer to them as. The main one being anxiety, played by Maya Hawke, or voiced by Maya Hawke. And it's interesting just because I know from my daughter, who has anxiety issues, where you're like, wow, yeah, anxiety really, they represented it at one point as almost like a tornado that could not get stopped. Like, wow, yeah, because it can be so separate from what's going on, and also like that it has good intentions and it's trying to do things and then it just can spin out of control. I thought it was really well represented.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, it was tough to watch and tough to see, like, oh, someone losing control. And look, both Inside Outs is like, there are moments where, not out of the box, but like, oh, this person is losing control of all their emotions, or, oh, now they have no emotions or something. So it was tough to watch that happen.
Yeah, they did a really good job. I mean, I don't know what Adam got out of it, but I thought it represented emotions really well in terms of how they're impacting and also showing like how it's interacting with her life. I hope that he got a lot out of it.
Well, he sat through the whole movie, which
He
he
sat through the
typically
whole movie,
does not
yeah.
do. Did he even have popcorn?
He did not have popcorn.
Maybe that is the trigger. Stop giving him popcorn.
I agree.
He's sitting there waiting for the popcorn to come.
Eric will not agree.
Okay.
Yeah. My husband definitely feels like, no, you get popcorn at the movies.
Yeah.
Well, we'll see.
It's not a bizarre theory, but okay. But he sat there the whole time.
Yeah, he did great. He did really, really great. It was funny to be like, a bunch of rows behind him and just kind of looking at the back of his head and he was really seemed super engaged. I thought it was amazing. Okay, so the other new emotions that we need to acknowledge are envy, played by Iowa Edebiri, and then also ennui, and then one of my favorite.
Wait, what's ennui?
Ennui, like not wanting to do anything.
Are
She has
you
a
for
French
real, Catherine?
accent. It's so funny. What?
It is the boredom.
Oh, it is the boredom.
Oh, so it's the boredom.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's very like teenage.
Oh,
Do you wanna do
God.
this?
I mean,
Yeah,
I'm bored.
yeah, she was very good. I liked her.
Ooh, that is great. Okay.
And then another new one who is just a little teeny, almost like cameo, is Nostalgia, voiced by June Squibb, which was delightful. Very funny.
Oh, that's
She comes in
brilliant.
and she's like, what about this? And they're like, from 30 seconds ago, you're not due for 10 years. Get back in the closet. It was really cute.
Okay.
And then
Triple Denkum. It's all delicious.
we did get at least two of those.
Nice.
Yeah, it was great. So also we got recurrences from the first one. We got Paula Poundstone, Paula Pell, Bobby Moynihan, John Ratzenberger.
Oh, he's always in there.
I know. And then we had some new ones. One of my faves, Ron Funches, was in there
Oh, I
as
love
like
this.
a kid's cartoon character, which was very funny. It was sort of like Dora the Explorer because he didn't have a backpack. He had like a fanny pack, like a front pouchy. Pouchy. And that was from Saturday Night Live, James Austin Johnson, and was a very funny character, this Pouchy character. So, I mean, the only one, particularly because I had just watched the first movie, and spoiler from the first movie, Bing Bong does not make it out. So,
I was like, how is he there?
No, I know
He
he's
should
not.
be. I love Bing Bong so
much. Richard Kind voicing Bing Bong. Bing Bong. So anyway, that was a sad realization that when I was looking through the list of recurring characters, I was like, oh, you can't get Bing Bong back because Bing Bong is gone. Mm-hmm. Anyway, it was neat. I liked it, and I liked the idea of now we're creating a sense of self. That was sort of the underlying thing. So instead of just your feeling islands, which was the first movie, or right? Isn't that what it was called? Or like your core memories and your islands of whatever. But now it's realizing that you develop beliefs and beliefs about yourself, and that colors how you interact with the world. It was a good story. And I did ask Adam afterwards, I'm like, well, what sport does she play? What sport does Riley play? And he was like, hockey. I'm like,
Oh, okay, so he's really watching.
He was taking it in. There's a lot of really good hockey animation. Because look, it's fun because it's a much bigger part of the story. She goes to a hockey camp, and there's, she's trying to get in with the cool hockey players, and envy plays a part in that, and definitely anxiety of wanting to be liked. And yeah, it was good.
I don't know if I could watch it. It sounds like it would give me anxiety because I'm kind of in the throes of this right now. A lot of teenage stuff. Like last night, it was like he's got his neighborhood boys, and it was like, where are you? Come back home. I'm right outside. I think I woke up at like 1:15. I'm like, where are you? I'm just out front talking. I'm like, get in the house. But then he comes in and he's like, oh my gosh, you're having a real serious conversation. And you like ruined it. And
Oh, geez.
So I'm like, do I want to watch?
I think you
Maybe
can still
it'll be
watch
insightful, John.
Liz,
you can handle it.
it. Yeah.
the tone that you were just using. I don't remember the character's name, but in Riley's head in the first one, I would die for you, Riley. I would die for
Oh,
you.
yeah.
Is he in it? Is he in
No,
it?
he's not.
Oh,
the
he died for
imaginary
Riley
boyfriend.
then. Yeah.
And is that fantasy? What is it called, John? Like Imaginary Land, or I forget what. It might just be Imagination Land.
But it's unrelated to where you're going, which was the vault or her Mount Crushmore. Those are the two places.
Oh, I like
Yeah.
that name, Mount Crushmore.
All of that stuff is so creative. But yeah, Imaginary Land also has changed a lot because she's grown up. So, and that initial imaginary crush was not in it. Yeah,
Now,
sorry.
I got
He
one.
was on Mount Crushmore.
Obviously, he's
he
carved,
wa-
he's carved
well,
into
he was,
Mount Crushmore.
No. The game character was on Mount Crushmore. Was that boyfriend on there too?
There was more than one person on Mount Crushmore.
Okay, but I forgot who was on Mount Crushmore. All right, yes, Eddie?
I was just going to say, well, I'm obviously going to watch this eventually, but are there more than one mode of transportation for ideas to get around now instead of just the younger single train of thought that you might find yourself on?
There wasn't really a train of thought. There were just a lot more tubes going on. And of course, there's a big trek that's happening that doesn't go well. Because they have to, it's a little bit not formulaic, but they have to go and get something that is very far away.
The Parade of Future Careers.
That was
There were
great.
so many
I
fun
love that
moments.
one. Yeah, there was a lot of really fun moments.
Ooh, I want to see it. Okay.
It's really, really good. It's really, really good. And again, I'm just so happy that Adam really seemed to enjoy it and forced me to go out to the theater to watch it too. So that was cool.